Before we get started, I just want to thank everybody for coming. I think it's very beneficial for new members, old members, members in between. But just give us a chance to sort of find out what's going on and have a chance of fellowship and community in this format. So I wanted to thank you from the very beginning for showing up. And to that end, if you would put your name on the pad, we'll get you credit for that. We're very fortunate to have two outstanding members present to us, and then I've got something that I'd like for us to close with. So, Bob, why don't we start with you and talk about the whatever you want to talk about. A foundation, right?
Well, let me think about what it was. Foundation, and I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here. What was the numbers? We'll get 100% of the money as the meeting. The foundation is, and I do have a handout for it, and anybody else who would like to have it. But you've heard me say this from the podium several times about the Rotary Foundation sets us apart from all other service organizations that we might be a part of. Then we talk about awards that everybody gets. And a lot of people don't know how this is all structured and how it's put together. So I thought I would take a minute and talk about what happens with the foundation, where it goes, what it does, and how your money is spent if you make the decision to make a contribution to the foundation. I guess I should say up front that the foundation is not a requirement. You do not have to make a contribution to the foundation unless you really want to. Sometimes we are accused of Rotary of asking for money. And the foundation is talked about many times during the year, and don't want new members to feel like they're obligated to do it. However, it is an organization. And often, this club offers the national and Rotary International that no other service has.
Within our club, what percentage of members do give to the foundation? Because I would assume it's relatively high.
It is. We have, of course, the way that those people are recognized are through their Paul Harris Fellow Awards. And we have over 65% of our club members are Paul Harris Fellows. And we'll talk about that in a minute to follow through with it. But the foundation, as it was set up back in 1917, I guess it was, offers programs in two areas. One is humanitarian programs. And the second one is educational program. Rotary Foundation is very big in the education side of activities, and a lot of times you don't really know that or see it. But and this is where John comes in over here, is that he goes after programs all the time, and you've heard about matching grants and these type of things. Well, let's talk about that just a little bit. Under humanitarian programs, one of the areas that's big in the Rotary Foundation, the one that most people know about is Polio Plus. The program was set up in 1988 to eradicate polio around the world. And the foundation uses this as one of its major programs of support to try to really get rid of polio. It was originally set up to try to have it done by 2005, but that didn't happen. And since that time, there's been other programs that have come along to entice and encourage that type of contributions from the members. So Polio Plus is a big one that we work on every year. Health, Hunger, and Humanity Grants is one that's kind of been put on the back burner for the time being. But One of the things that we talk about all the time is matching grants. Matching grants. Well, matching grants are available from the foundation. They have to be supported by the local club here as well as the club wherever the process is to be done. So those two clubs together put together what they say, a program, and they go to the Rotary Foundation and they will allow a matching grant. And we've seen what John does with money on matching grants. He'll start out with $10,000, and by the time he gets all the clubs involved and gets it all going, he may have a $100,000 program going. So,
can I interrupt you?
Sure.
Only because it is so much more. It's not John, but it is so much. The project that we started with $2,500. That was not our money. It was somebody else's money. Is now operating at about $30 million.
Yeah.
300 something.
$300,000.
$2,500 for kids at
Davidson College.
It's not John, and it's not even us.
But that just shows what the power is of Rotary clubs around the country and the opportunities that are out there to help people around the world if you want to through the matching grants, which comes from your foundation. Then we have district simplified grants, which is money designed for youth locally, for programs that we might have within the district that we want to use and apply for those funds. And another one is an individual grant. Let's say John decided that he had an opportunity in Peru, and he needed to go down there and check it out and see what he could put together with a local club. There is money available. I say that as a general rule, but like so many things, based on the income that they have and the amount of contributions they receive, some years they can do individual grants, some years they can't. They turn it on and turn it off as they need be. But that is part of what they call their humanitarian programs. The next area is called educational programs. Ambassador scholarships. We had a young lady about 4 years ago, Sarah Strange, who was sponsored by this club. She went to Egypt to study for an academic year. She applied for a bachelor scholarship. It was worth about $25,000. You do have to have a club to support that individual. She is now graduating from law school in Washington, D.C. Not sure where she's going to finally end up, but I hear from her from time to time. Those type of programs. In fact, right now, we are looking at another possibility. We've had some young ladies come visit us in the last 2 months that are applying for ambassador scholarships. They also have cultural scholarships, a multi-year scholarship, a grant for university teachers, where a teacher can go overseas. They can either be Rotarians or non-Rotarians. Some of these positions have to be someone who is not associated with the Rotary Club. Sarah was not a Rotarian. Her father was not a Rotarian. No member of her family had been involved in it. And yet she will, where she lands, I know she'll end up being a good Rotarian in that particular part of the world. There's Centers for International Study. There's 7 in the world in the international studies. We have one in North Carolina, which is a combination of UNC and Duke. That's cultural. That international study is designed to study for peace and conflict resolution. So, and group study exchange is the other area that we see students on a regular basis coming in visiting with us, and we also send a group study out to other areas of the world as well. So those are the educational programs that are covered under your Rotary Foundation. Now, how is it funded? And I won't take just a minute or two to talk about that. Well, there's two ways to fund the foundation. The one that we're most familiar with is the annual fund. The annual fund is the one that we talk about all the time. It's you make your contribution to Rotary International, and depending upon your level of contributions, there are recognitions that comes from Rotary to you through the club for your contribution. The first one that you're very familiar with is the Paul Harris Fellow. Paul Harris Fellow, a $1,000 contribution. Once you reach that $1,000, then you're eligible for that Paul Harris Fellow. And we have, as I said, over 65% of our members are Paul Harris Fellows. The next level is when you reach $2,000 or your second Paul Harris Fellow level, you become a multiple Paul Harris Fellow. And you go from there. You go into being a major donor, which starts at $10,000, and then there are 5 levels of recognition in that particular program. And we have 2 or 3 sitting at this table today that are major donors with the foundation. Now, what happens to your money? Well, when you make your contribution, that money goes into a savings account, and it sits there for 3 years. And at the end of the 3 years, then the funds come back, half of the funds come back to our district to support those grants that we were talking about earlier. The other part is used for the international side of the grants that they put together. So 100% of your original contribution is used for Rotary Foundation grants. It's not 85%, it's not 97%, it's not 93%. 100% of it comes back. The interest is used to pay for the operations of the foundation. The last area is the one that they say is the easiest for you to do as a Rotarian, and that is in the permanent fund program. The permanent fund is in support of the foundation when the annual fund can't cover everything they need. They keep trying to build the size of the permanent fund so that it really guarantees the continuation of the foundation. It's where you, from your estate, make a donation to the Rotary Foundation. It's probably the easiest way of giving. It will never hurt your checkbook, which you'll know about it, because it all happens after we leave here. So individuals should consider being part of the permanent fund program. Those contributions can be charitable gifts, they can be gifts of property, they can be cash, or they can be investments that you've had, if there's any left, and apply to that particular area. They have a benefactor level, which is recognized at the $1,000 level, and they have the Bequest Society recognition to you for being part of that. It's $10,000. So, as a Rotarian, there's several things that we look forward for you participating with us in. One is membership, being here, showing up 60 or 65% of the time for all of the meetings. The second is to actively recruit new members. That's a big part of what we do at Rotary. And third is to become a Paul Harris active sustainer or Paul Harris fellow. And that's your big choice. Any questions? Yes.
Bob, I just need for clarification. Always learn something new.
Yeah.
You said that our funds were put in the savings account. I think they're invested.
Well, they are investments.
Because, I mean, there's like
I
huge
meant that
difference
as an
between-
investment. Excuse me. Yeah, exactly. Any other questions? And I do have a handout for you. David?
And would you like to follow Bob?
I don't want to do that, I want to go first. I don't want to have to follow over. So you see, I have to go. Thank you. Very nice, thank you.
So any other questions for?
Bob, you have enough for everybody, Bob?
I hope so. I got 20 of them.
Oh, good.
It's interesting about the foundation when you think in terms of, when I work with so many companies, we're always asking, so what's your competitive advantage? I mean, what makes you unique? What makes you different from your competition? And I think from a organization point of view, the foundation really is one of our key competitive advantages in this area. Not only for us, but I think for other people that if they want to make an investment, why not put it in Rotary? Because 100% goes to the cause. And you know, these people that call up on the phone, that they're not providing 100% to their cause. No matter how impassioned they are about it, it just doesn't happen. So, but it does with the foundation. So thank you. Well, David, we're ready for you to tell us all about
This year conference, that's what it's up, right?
Yeah.
All right, David asked me to talk about district conferences and the Rotary International Convention. So basically, to those again who are new, the basic structure of Rotary is you've got a member, you've got a member part of the club is part of a district, the district is part of the zone. That's not really, but that's kind of to keep the districts in the area, and then that's all part of Rotary International. I think that the concept of and I'll deal with each a little separately. First of all, each of them in generally, I think, they're events that allow you to expand your horizons further than where you are in your own club. You have your own stuff that you're working on in your club. You know what's going on here. You see what we do. You see all the stuff, the community stuff, and the national stuff. But then to expand to the district conference, which is a conference of all the clubs in the district. There are 6 districts in North Carolina, unless that's changed the last couple of years. I'm not as involved in the district as I was, but there are 6 districts in North Carolina. There are, John and I are talking, coming in 530 some districts in that kind of number range in the world. And of course, we always say 1.2 million Rotarians, and it's always a little sidelight as we seem to have been talking about that 1.2 million for a lot of years. And that's a good thing in a way, because some of the other organizations that are this kind of organization have had tremendous loss of membership. We have had that too, but we've had an increase too. So we're staying the path at about 1.2 million Rotarians. So just keep that in mind, in the back of your mind. So district conference is it's a year, at the end of the year, so celebration of Rotary, celebration of what happened in the year for the district governor. The district governor, of course, is over all the clubs in his district. Our district has 53, 54, John, 55, 54. I mean, that's changing, of course, all the time as well. When I was very involved in the district, it was 48, 49, and then we got new clubs. So 50-some clubs with 3,000 to 3,400 Rotarians in the district. So that kind of gives you a little idea. And our district is kind of the center of the 77 corridor, if you will, in North Carolina. Goes a little bit up to the eastern part of the state, on the Hamlet, up, 74, but that's basically what our district is. And at the end of the year, the district governor will have a year-end convention, let's say, for the district. I've had the opportunity to chair 2 of these conferences for supporting two district governors, two of our district governors in our club, Jim Stone, and I did Jim Stone for my 97 in Winston-Salem, and then I did the one for Joe Morris in maybe 2005 in Charleston, South Carolina. It's a great event. It's an event that has education, it has social, it has, there's all good things going on. Plus you're with 200, 300, 400, 500 maybe, depending on, what the attendance was in the year. Rotarians that share a common bond with you, what we're trying to accomplish. Like a guy like John would be there talking about, when he was district world community service, he'd be talking about what's going on in the district. So you're just expanding your horizon more than you are here. When you talk about Peru, and when we go to Peru, we talk about our club involvement, and they're talking about more of the things that are happening all around the district. And you get to learn about what's going on, other clubs are doing. And it's a great thing to find out. I will say, one plug for, I don't give Bob Lyons too many plugs, but I want to give Bob Lyons and David Miller, they're sitting right next to each other. I will never forget when we developed our star program, and these guys developed our star program, our membership retention development program. And I would,
You helped.
well, I was there, but these were the guys that, well, thank you, but these were the guys that did it. I would go to a district conference, be very involved in the conference, and all of a sudden it would come up about the star program. And these guys were all people, guys that say that generic, the guys who look, the what is it? Explain it. Stand up and talk about it. And it was like such a new thing to them. And this is what is a good thing, because I go home and I say, Bob, send this person this information, and they'd send a packet out. And that's kind of what is a good thing about a district conference. You learn things about what's going on in other clubs, which you might have tunnel vision when you're in your own club. You might not see that. You'll find that when you're at a district conference. And you learn, more the bigger scale stuff that's going on. Plus it's social, plus it's always in a nice venue, many different things. But that was a very good opportunity to do that. The district governor hires he asks a person to actually, in my case, he told me I was going to do it. Jim Stubb told me I was going to do it. Laura told me I was going to do it. So I did it because they told me I was going to do it.
Could you not say no?
Exactly.
Thank you. That's why you're here today.
He did it because he's the man who can't say no.
Yes.
That's right. But it is a good event. I've gone to quite a few district conferences, and I encourage you all. It's a less expensive way to do it than to go to an international, because of a lot of travel that might be involved to a international convention. And it's a good way to learn what's going on in the district at one time with a lot of other people. So I would recommend people trying to do that if they can. One other comment I was going to make, this is something that I grasped a long time ago when I became assistant governor. District governor's assistant governor, Eric, I don't know if he's still in the my concept always was that when I was president of the club, this was just like, when I was president of the club, the district governor was kind of a boss. Well, really, that's not the case. When you look at that, if you show a district governor respect when he comes in, the club president is really a boss. And they're pretty quick to tell you that. But the district governor kind of makes things go, but works for the club presidents. So it's an interesting concept to see. It's not like you report to it, but they're there to support the president. So, the International Convention, once a year, in some exotic part of the world, including Indianapolis. I've been to 2 international conventions. I guess I was very selective in picking the two presidencies. I went to Taipei, Taiwan, for my first presidency, and I went to Brisbane, Australia, for my second presidency, which was really tough. It's tough duty. It was really tough.
3. Were you in Chicago?
I didn't go to Chicago. No, we did a conference.
You remember the club gave you $1 to spend, but actually I was $1.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, and because I've been in this club for 10 years less than the guy over there, but 38 years for attendance, you get 48 coming up. That times used to be different in the club. When we had 150 members, we had big budgets. We had time that the club budget could send a president-elect to a conference, and they have a money budget. We still do that, But, you know, when you go into Brisbane, Australia, it's not, you don't go there for $500, you know, so things have changed a little bit, and some presidents have opted not to go because of not funding, but still, it is a great opportunity. Now, the International Convention in Taipei, Taiwan, for example, I picked out nice, I got it, mid-90s, not 94, I remember it was, big other one, huh? See, that's probably the flag I brought back. See, you know, see, that's
Sure.
exactly right. I should know my flag since I'm one of those things I brought back.
I got you back.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
30,000 people at this. Majority of the attendees at that convention happened to be from the Pacific Rim, Japan, and China. It was tremendous. I would say 50%, 40-50% were from that part of the world. But the International Convention is really quite a thing to see. I mean, it's really one of the events we went to. They had 500 buses to take people to the subject. They stop the highway in Taiwan, in Taipei, about 500 buses get on the highway to go to this event. It was like mind-boggling how they do this kind of stuff. But anyway, the president was there. All the initiatives of what were happening in international, you're talking about much more on a bigger scale. I mean, you know, you can have. They had the big sessions with 15,000 apiece. They had two sections, of one in one time a day and one another time a day. So it was 15,000 people in a big room talking about what's going on, what initiatives going on, Polio Plus, what the foundation is doing, what, you know, and I would say that is even more so a celebration of the year of the president, talking about all the accomplishments that have happened worldwide. But to hear this stuff is really mind-blowing. We think we do, you know, I know about what I do in Peru and what I do in Peru and how I get so excited about that. Well, you know, multiply that 1 million times, maybe, the stuff that's going on. Big stuff, big change, and big things happening in the world, which you don't really know. And that one day, polio, like 11 million people got inoculated in one day or something. It's like in India, it's like some astronomical thing to get here at the International Convention. Also, they have big, like the big projects, big things that are going on worldwide. They might have a tent set up out in an outside area that they can talk about their event, talk about what they're doing, and solicit support from clubs and districts. Really shows you that this organization is worldwide. I mean, it's a tremendous opportunity to see this, meet the people, and see that this is a worldwide organization. Brisbane, Australia, again, speaking only because these are the two that went to Brisbane, Australia, another, a little different in the fact that in Taipei, in that city, we were all kind of around Taipei, so big, and with so many hotel venues, we were all able to be there, right where around where the convention was. And in Brisbane, I was in a hotel, it was like an hour and 15-minute bus ride, every morning and every afternoon. Which was great for me because it was on the coast. Surfers Paradise, it was called. A beautiful hotel overlooking the water, watching the surfers. But we had to get that far away because so many people in the city couldn't handle that. The people just see what they're in. Oh, you're Rotary, walking down the street. You know, you have your Rotary badge. What do you think? I just think really, it's a really great experience to be. You've been. How many people have been to Rotary International Convention? Domestically or Chicago? Korea. You went to Korea, that's exactly right. Where'd you go?
I went to 3.
Okay.
The first one was in Honolulu, 1969. Then when I was president, I went to Switzerland. Then Bubba Sykes didn't want to go to Sydney, Australia, so I volunteered.
See, you're talking about me. He's a nice guy. See, he's a tough guy. He's a nice guy to do that. But
Anything for the club.
Exactly. I mean, it's a great thing to do. I would encourage everyone again to try to go to an international.
There is just a uniqueness to every Rotary from that standpoint.
And we talk so much about all that we do for others. The reality is there's a lot that Rotary does for us. And what Bob's talking about is one of the key things about the relationship we have, not only within our club, but for those of us who are fortunate enough to travel, maybe not as much as I have recently, but you know, I've gone to some other Rotary clubs in the hotels where I'm doing these seminars. And instantly, it's just, you've got a bond, and I think I've taken it to another level with my club in England, that, I mean, they consider themselves, you know, we've got 40 members in David. I mean, it's just, they do accept me, and quite frankly, because of my relationships with the Rotarians in England, that has opened up so many incredible experiences for not only for my wife and Jan and myself, but for our other friends, that has just been just extraordinary, and that would have never happened without Rotary. So there are a lot of great benefits to Rotary, and I guess we all should feel very grateful that somebody would let us in to be a member of such a wonderful club. But in closing, do think about, what do we want to stand for at Rotary? What do we want to stand for as a club? And what do you want to stand for as an individual? Think in terms of the branding. It's an interesting concept to think through, and I would encourage you to do that. This does provide a makeup, so if you have not signed, please sign before we finish. Any last questions or comments at this point in time?
Could I make what on the surface sounds like a negative into something positive?
Yeah, no, yes, of course you can, John.
One of my concerns, when I talk to you about branding, you all know how much I love RI. But RI does not have the focus. If you ask somebody around this table or your friend what the Lions Club does, they were the people who have applied or they sell rules.
Okay.
When you ask about Rotary, okay, wonderful, Holio Plus is fabulous. But we sit around here and, you know, I have the best interest in Holio, but the most people in the United States don't really give a rat's about Holio Plus. You know, there's 3 countries way over there that still have polio, but that isn't focus that really stirs people up. One of the things I'm hoping that Rotary will keep working at is where do we go from here?
Yes, right.
I don't want to come off that, but I think we're going to talk about branding. We need to find something that the world recognizes, East, organ transplant, I don't know what it is, but something that everybody can say, yeah.
Two big things. Talking about branding and asking tough questions is never a negative thing. You're not negative. The other thing is on LinkedIn, there are several Rotary groups within LinkedIn, and there's a big discussion happening right now about what the Rotary International brand is. So if you want to continue this conversation online with people from wherever, LinkedIn, it's one of several Rotary posts. They're having a specific question about what is Rotary's brand.
We definitely are in transition. And it may be that, you know, we're doing so much, it's hard to focus on one. But I think that's something that we really need to address, because when I was doing retention last year for the district, you know, we were talking about how do you get people involved in Rotary, talk about polio, how do we get younger people involved, and we sit there and but polio is a non-issue. It doesn't. They don't remember taking the, what was it, a drop on a sugar cube that I took
That was
when
the
I was...
second thing.
Yeah.
Rotarian to be living Rotary, but the principle of Rotary, it's an encouraging, it's an exciting thing to go to and see how they, you know, how the international organization runs. And in light of that also, I would also encourage, since we're talking international, if you ever have the opportunity to go to Evanston. I mean, I've been to Evanston, I toured the facility in Evanston, and it's quite an operation to see what they're doing up there. You know, talking about Evanston, but all around what do you go there through there. It's a nice place to visit if you have a chance. You're in Chicago, you have an extra day, take a train to get to Evanston. It's a good opportunity. Any questions?
Not a question, but a comment. All of us are probably aware that we have Rotary International website, but we also have a district website, and everybody ought to look at that about once a month.
Good comment.
Any other questions? Thanks to our wonderful speakers to kind of summarize the year. And I wanted to take the few minutes that we've got left to, now that we've gone through this process of understanding about Rotary, not only here in the district, but beyond, worldwide, think in terms of what kind of public relations do we have for Rotary? So many companies talk about their brand. You know, they'll have a logo. We've got a logo. We've got a motto. We've got a motto. So how do we get across who we are? Because for those who have been in public relations, Lamar, you know, the brand is everything. It stands for who we are. If you see that, it brings certain things to mind. So my question to you is, what brand does Rotary have? There's 3 elements to a brand. What are we known for? What benefit do we give, or what value do we have to our membership and beyond? And the third thing is what makes us unique. Those are 3, Tamara, I hope you agree with this. Those are 3 elements that make up a brand. So when you think in terms of Rotary, number 1, what are we known for? What's the one thing that we're known for?
Polio plus.
Polio plus, okay. What benefit do we have to our community?
Community service.
Community service. So what makes us unique? Did nobody else?
Service organization, strictly service.
Well,
Service above self.
yeah, we are strictly service, right?
So is the Lions Club.
So is the Lions Club. Okay, so let's back up. What makes us unique? What makes a Rotarian, Rotary, what makes us unique? Another thumbs up now.
So I said that to start with the foundation, which as we as individuals do our little thing here locally, but just as David has said, when all of a sudden you realize what we do with the 1.2 million members worldwide, that it's just a huge umbrella that says here is what Rotary is all about.
So will we agree that the foundation does make us unique?
To the other service organizations have, Lions, Kiwanis, they they
Probably
probably
others, Kiwanis, and Lions, I don't even know. Lions,
they have national and international organizations, but do they have a foundation?
No. I think what we have is unique. For a service organization to have this, you know, General Motors might have foundation, right? So if a service organization would have that.
And what I don't understand is why they don't. Because it's so, I guess it's easy to do if you set yourself about it.
Well, they can give to ours.
Yeah, but that's why if they got somewhere they want to spend their money, send it to that.
So, yeah, Mark.
speaking of public relations, I got a shot yesterday about how well or how little known we are. We were at a closing, and it was the second closing with the same woman. And so when we got through with it, I said she had asked if I had any questions. And I said, one, but it's not related to this closing. She said, what? I said, because it was at a law office right up here about 3 blocks away. I said, are you a Rotarian? And she was the manager of that office. And she said, no, what's a Rotarian? And I thought, you know, every adult who's been to college, and she had, should know what a Rotarian is at least.
I think
Maybe not in detail, but she apparently never heard of a Rotarian. And that was a shock. So I invited her to come to our club, and I hope she will. I followed up with an email to her last night, sent her our current newsletter, and told her a little more about the organization. So maybe I made one convert. I don't know.
That's appropriate comment coming from Lamar. It's so, regardless of whether you're retired or not from PR, it always boils your blood if you find that somebody doesn't know something about a company or an organization. So thank you for your comment. It does bring up the whole idea of a brand. What is a brand? And I would propose to you, aside also from the foundation, what makes us really unique you. You're here, not there. So when we think in terms of Rotary, we are part of the brand. So let's go back through it again. From your point of view, what is your personal Rotary brand? We'll go over the three again. What are you known for? What benefit do you give others? What makes you unique? What do you think your Rotary brand is? Your personal Rotary brand? What do you think it is? I know you haven't thought of this before, that's why I'm bringing it up. What are you known for? What's the benefit given? What makes you unique?
You asking for answers? You asking for us to just keep in mind and think about it?
No, I would love for you to tell us.
I mean, my personal feeling is.
In
I mean,
5 minutes,
well,
we can.
You know me, don't you? Wait a minute, this Teague took a lot more time than me.
Was it even out? Is this a political thing?
I think the whole service was something. I mean, that